Hello, dear viewers and listeners. Welcome to episode 0 of the Sound Mind podcast. My name is Michael Hrustel, and I'll be your host for the foreseeable future, if you choose to stick around, of course. I'm a guitarist, singer, arranger, and a composer, and this is my story in a nutshell. When I was 14, I finally convinced my dad to buy me a guitar, and that's how my music journey started. The musical world took me over, and now as I recall my musical beginning, it sometimes felt almost like the outer world didn't exist anymore. Practicing an instrument gave me value within my family. From their perspective, I was just working very hard, and that was great. And not only family, everyone started to like me more because I was developing this cool skill. I also got more attention at school and scored new friends because of it. At home, I thought the coolest part was that everyone started to leave me alone as I practiced for up to 10 hours every day. This was also the start of me identifying with being a musician and subsequently that only if I practice I will have value. And I thought musician is all I am and all I have to be. I identified with this and I still do to a certain degree. And even during my student years, I thought being a musician meant practicing my guitar and doing musical stuff, and that's all I needed to do, and that everything will be okay. In a way, it detached me from reality, similar to a situation where a person is addicted to computer games. It provided me with a peaceful place when there was chaos around me. It felt as if I was running away from reality into my music world. Because of this way of life, there were periods when I ended up feeling very lonely and became immersed in bad habits, addictions, and procrastinating tasks that needed my immediate attention. I just kept hiding in my music world. There were even periods when I was so depressed that I couldn't get out of bed for weeks. I felt quite isolated from the world. I was struggling with my problems, and when I tried to reach out to friends and people for company, no one responded. For months I was out of their lives, and then all of a sudden I wanted to come in out of the blue. This lifestyle obviously didn't work well for me, and I just wanted to get out of this misery. Alongside the fact of hiding from reality, another thing I noticed were thoughts that would completely consume me. Even though I was working on my music or practicing, I would continue to loop a thought over and over in my head, creating scenarios, having imaginary arguments, and contemplating all the possible ways something could go wrong. I was creating this mental polygon of pain, unaware that it was something I could work on. That was until I googled overthinking and obsessive thoughts. And that is how I discovered the path of meditation. I learned to view my thoughts as observable objects. I realized that thoughts would keep appearing, but there was no need for them to consume me completely, and that I have the power to take a step back from them. I started to appreciate the sound of silence just as much as the sound of music. I was able to create this healthy habit and to be consistent with it, and that was my next lesson: consistency. Even when I didn't feel like it, I did it. I sat down and observed my thoughts, and always I felt proud of myself for doing something good for myself. The next crucial step came when I started to prioritize my health, connection, and good relationship with my body. I always felt sick and afraid that I have all these crazy diseases and whatnot. With regular exercise and occasionally pushing my body to its limits, I started to develop a bond with my body. Like, my body can protect itself, it is healthy and strong. And not only that, it is very powerful. And again, every time I showed up to work out, especially when I didn't feel like it, I built new, healthy bridges with myself. Everything seemed just right, although moments of darkness would occasionally still appear. And then I came across one of my favorite teachers in front of the school, and he asked me how I am. This was a question of compassion that felt like I never got. I ended up in tears and responded that I don't know what I'm missing. I think I'm doing everything to keep my life in check, yet I feel so miserable. He asked me something what resonates with me up until this day, which was, how are your relationships? Do you have deep, meaningful relationships? As a consequence, I started to cultivate gratefulness for the friendships that I have, other relationships, and relationship with my partner. In combination with therapy and things mentioned above, I started to have longer and longer periods without depression, without crazy lows and crazy highs. I also began to develop this humbleness for life as it is and how much I cherish just a simple thing, which is to look forward to the day ahead and to get out of my bed. And that every difficulty life presents is a chance for me to grow and get stronger. I try to keep these principles close to my heart, and I notice when I lose the connection to them, the quality of life just feels like it's not as there as it could be. And don't get me wrong, I love music, I still spend a lot of time with it, but now the world around doesn't collapse because of it. My personal exploration further took a turn into the Stoic philosophy and Buddhism, which created a great practice ecology that motivates me to explore and enjoy life as I had never before. Over the last few years, I've also delved into writing poetry in my mother tongue, which I've found to be alongside journaling particularly healing. I believe that music enables me to see myself better, my weaknesses, but also my strengths. Therefore, I'm able to work towards a life with less physical and psychological pain. The before-mentioned tools enable me to be more committed, more consistent, a better player and a musician, and above all, the things I create come from a more meaningful place, where I am more myself and have this feeling of longevity. And a feeling that I'm able to do what I do like I do every day. In my life, I've had some of the most beautiful and meaningful conversations with people who are musicians, whether they be my teachers, friends, acquaintances, other musicians I encountered. I've witnessed great wisdom pouring out from those who create music. I've always believed that musicians are so much more than just experts in music. I've also noticed that many of them have a specific area of interest outside music, which they research or develop, almost like a hidden superpower. These individuals often had very interesting and rich lives. Starting my own podcast has been in the back of my mind for a while, but I wasn't able to take the time, and I felt I don't have the courage to reach out to people and that I'm not able to trust myself to do something consistently. My aim for this podcast is not to delve deeply into the technical aspects of music, but primarily to explore self-discovery, personal growth, self-care, and how music enables and continues to enable us to see, heal, and work towards a better self. The name Sound Mind stands for a well-balanced and grounded mind. It represents a mind capable of making wise decisions. It goes hand in hand with good habits, since good habits lead to sound mind and sound mind leads to good habits. On this note, I thank you for sticking around to hear my story, and I kindly welcome you to my new podcast. And until next time, I wish you a sound mind.